guys, welcome back.
Yeah, it's been 9 weeks. That's crazy. I was telling Sarah we're gonna have to do something special for our 10th week. Maybe we'll bake a cake and you guys can watch us eat it. So, our snap question for this week, please write down in the comment section. I know you guys are just sitting there listening to the snap question and not doing anything. Type or text something. Let's answer this question.
Do something.
Yeah, something. Okay, let me know you're alive. If you could speak any foreign language, what would it be? Okay, not a language you already speak. If you already speak a foreign language, write that down. That'd be great. But for me, right now we're learning, and I would like to speak French.
Yep, we're learning French. So.
Yeah, so please write your answer down in the comment section, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you guys find this video. We do really miss you guys a lot.
Alright, this week's challenge is to impersonate a character of your choice from a movie, video game, or TV show, wherever you want to get it from, and say a Bible verse of your choice in that character's voice. So, for example, Elmo saying John 3:16, or Darth Vader saying Ephesians 2:8. Whoever you can do the best spot-on impersonation of, or just the funniest voice, and you can submit as many as you want.
Yeah, if you could do Yoda doing a verse backwards, that would be really cool.
Yeah.
Like, whapped Jesus. Said Jesus wept. Alright, and so yeah, submit that to Sarah at our Instagram and Facebook account by Friday night at midnight. And also we have on Friday night at 9 o'clock, we have our Jackbox Zoom hangout. And so the past 2 weeks, the internet has been great.
Yeah.
Past 2 weeks. Before then, it's been rough, but it's been awesome. And so we've been having a lot of fun playing with those games. And so obviously it's not a great substitute for the real thing, but you know, it's awesome to still hang out and just to hear you guys' voice and just to chat with you. And so you know, hear back from us on that. If you haven't done that in a while, you know, hop on and have fun with us.
Yeah.
And even if you're not that big into playing the games, you can still play as an audience member. But you want to tell them about the Rockside link?
Yeah, so on Sunday mornings at 10:30, Rockside Church is streaming their service. So the link to their Facebook is in the description, so you can follow that to check out their service on Sunday mornings.
Yeah, it'll be awesome. And so I know we've been trying to make the videos a little bit different, but you know, every week it almost seems the same. And so I just wanted to have our ending together be a little bit different. And so, you know, I want to say that I really hope that you guys are enjoying and learning from the Sermon on the Mount series that we've been going through when Jesus preaches. But we just want to encourage you guys to grow in your faith. You do need to do more than just watch things. Whether you're watching other people preach or ourselves, you need to do more than just watching, but you need to be actively reading your Bible and praying to God. And so I just want to encourage you to not miss this opportunity of a pandemic to grow closer to God. There's always going to be a positive to the negatives that we have in life. So we just want to encourage you guys on that.
Yeah, we love you guys, and we enjoy making these videos for you, and we hope that you watch them. But honestly, if you never watched one of our videos, but you're digging into the Word and you're praying, that makes us happy.
Yeah, but you wouldn't know because you didn't watch this then. All right.
Have a good week, guys.
Today we're going to be continuing our talk on Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. So previously we talked about the Beatitudes, the salt and light, the law, anger and hatred, adultery and divorce, and now we're going to talk about what Jesus has to say about retaliation. In Matthew 5:38 through 42, continuing on where we left off with Jesus' Sermon on the Mount, this is what he says. You have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, but I say to you, do not resist one who is evil, but if anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to him the other also. And if anyone would sue you, take your tunic and let him have your cloak as well. And if anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go with him 2 miles. Give to the one who begs from you, and do not refuse the one who would borrow from you. So these are really strong words from Jesus. And so naturally, my reaction actually would be to disagree with Jesus on here. If I'm being completely honest about just my regular reaction, I would disagree and say, hold up. If you were to ask me some advice on retaliation, never in a million years would I have told you to turn the other cheek. But rather, I probably would have told you to get even. You know, the same thing that my parents always told me when I would go to school. If someone hits you, you defend yourself. You don't say, hey, make it even over here. But that's the way that I was raised. And so that's the way that I and many other people see things. But this is how an eye for an eye and a tooth for tooth worked. And in Jesus' day, that was the common law. That was just the common idea of an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth was just getting even. It was the age-old Hammurabi's code. But Jesus saw this code as old and outdated, and it no longer served its purpose. It no longer served its purpose as to warn you about misbehaving against your neighbor, but rather it became an excuse to get even on everything. But I just want to say that there's more to life than getting even. That's hard to say sometimes because, I'm raising kids, and when one hits the other, it's all about who did what and about getting even. But that's not really what life is all about. We make it about that a lot. And so the main points that I have for you today, they're shocking and quite repulsive. But we're going to unpack them and discover why Jesus said such outlandish things. Number 1, do not resist the one who is evil. What? Why? No, I don't want to. Why? Who would have thought that the Bible says not to resist one who is evil? You would think, resist the one who's evil. And Jesus says, verbatim, it translated to English, do not resist the one who's evil. Why would Jesus say this here? If I'm being honest, I'm still working on bringing my heart in tune with what Jesus teaches here. In Matthew 5:39 through 41, just like we read earlier, just breaking this down, he says, do not resist the one who is evil. But if anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn him the other also. And if anyone would sue you to take your tunic, let him have your cloak as well. And if anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go with him 2. So these are some of the craziest words of Jesus, and they remind me of the time when he said, whoever wants to be the greatest should become the least, the servant of all. We like the idea of peace and not retaliating, but when it's our cheek that's slapped, we don't respond very well. And let me tell you, you're going to get your cheek slapped. Maybe literally, but definitely figuratively. And you'll be hurt in a way that's embarrassing. How will you respond? Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., a preacher, obviously civil rights movement leader, and just an amazing person, drawing from the words of Jesus, this is what he says as part of the civil rights movement. He says, we shall match your capacity to inflict suffering by our capacity to endure suffering. We shall meet your physical force with soul force. Do to us what you will, and we shall continue to love you. Wow, those are some powerful words. It's all about turning the other cheek. Who would have thought that that would be the message of a civil rights leader? We should be less concerned about making things right by getting even and more about doing what is right, being the better man. It takes a strong man and a strong woman to turn the other cheek. It's not a symbol of weakness, but rather of strength. It took Jesus' strength and supernatural self-control to turn the other cheek and be beaten in silence while he was tortured before his death on the cross. After the turning of the cheek, Jesus also says, and if anyone would sue you and take your tunic, let him have your cloak as well. I also don't like that at all. Someone's trying to take my stuff, back off. That's my stuff. Living in America, it's difficult not to care about possessions or materials. Luke 12:15, Jesus says, man's life does not consist in the abundance of his possessions. There's more than life than what we own and the stuff that we have. There's more to life than this. The truth is, the only thing eternal and the only thing that has eternal value in this world is people. That's the only thing that lasts. None of our possessions will last for eternity, and we're going to take nothing with us when we die. And so Jesus is just getting to the root of the issue of what's actually important is the person and not the material, as hard as it is to say, yeah, okay, you're going to take that from me. I'm not going to resist you. Jesus consistently teaches throughout the New Testament that we don't use people to get materials. People do that all the time. They use people to get stuff, to get money. But we're supposed to use materials and possessions to gain friends and to help them enter into heaven. It's the opposite. That's what Jesus is trying to get us to do. To use the resources that we have to reach out to people rather than using the people to get the resources. And so number 2, give to the one who begs from you. I also don't like that. Jesus, these are some tough words. We don't like to hear this one. Give to the one who begs from you, and do not refuse the one who would borrow from you. Unfortunately, Christians, while being known for being generous, They're not known for being generous to beggars. That's a stigma that a lot of Christians have, is that when someone's begging for money, whether it's on the street or wherever, normally we can be pretty snobby to them. And like, why? Why is our natural reaction to be that way? And yet Jesus says, give to those who are begging. Why is Jesus giving all these crazy commands that seem almost as hard to keep as the law? As always, I believe Jesus is getting to the root of the issue, which is our heart. Jesus says that our heart will be where our treasure and valuables are. When we take that away, where does our heart find comfort? When we take away our treasures and our values and we remove all of this, if our heart was there, that's where we found our comfort. Jesus says, okay, now remove all that. Where would you find your comfort? The truth is, it should have been from God. And I also think that what Jesus is teaching us here is that he's showing us our vulnerabilities. He's showing us how much work needs to be done in our heart before we start to accurately reflect the heart of the Father. While we struck Jesus and abused him, he turned the other cheek. When we disobeyed God, he was the better man and sent his only son to die for us. It's not about getting even. God isn't asking us to do something he isn't willing to do first. He's asking us to follow his example and to be like him. It's not about an eye for an eye or a tooth for a tooth. Gandhi in India, he once said, an eye for an eye will make the whole world blind. Speaking off of Jesus' teachings, as he was very fond of the Sermon on the Mount as well. The truth is, getting even isn't going to get us anywhere. It's not rising up and being the one who's different. And so today I want to leave you with a thought-provoking question that I want you to keep thinking about as you go about your day. Which part of Jesus' message is the most difficult for you? And why do you think that would be?